in the comment section. And yeah, that upload I did tend to really drive a couple of people home, which is really, really great. So yeah, you got that. Then like I said, man, no, don't take it personal. But my thing is, there's a time and a place for everything. And going back, this is not going to be about Obsidian, but talking about the Obsidian thing, like one thing y'all got to understand, whether y'all understand it or not, I'm going to say what it is. And then, folks want to feel the way they want to feel, and that's just, and act on that, and that's just going to be what it's going to be. Y'all need to understand that as content creators, folks have relationships, and folks are not trying to start unnecessary beefs. And a lot of times, folks in the chat, folks just want to keep bullshit going. And this is not really a shot at B or anything. I don't put him really in this category. But y'all got to really start just, if motherfuckers start, I remember when Obsidian said some crazy shit about some of the back, this is years ago, when folks were getting shot by the police, and he mentioned Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice is 12 years old, and he put Tamir Rice in, and that could have been a Freudian slip. But I didn't subscribe from Obsidian because of that. Because I'm like, if you're going to put a 12-year-old, in some park ape shit, that's on some different shit. Like, even David Carroll wouldn't have did no shit like that. And so I didn't sit there and go in his chat, troll, start saying, you ain't this, you ain't that. I just unsubscribed. And eventually I let that go, because I did come to the conclusion it was a Freudian slip. And this is back when this is like the first iteration of like the conservative firebrands in the space. When that was, O'Shea was on that a lot more, and this was when Anthony Ryan Logan was in here and stuff like that. So when folks think that, they the new shit, or they the first shit to do some shit, I'm like, no, you're not. But that's what I did. This thing where it's like people got a need to like roast people, or they think they're gonna take somebody's power away. Y'all got to start thinking bigger picture than that. And y'all got to trust that there's other people that's always going to check that. Or there's always going to be somebody that's going to check that shit. That's one thing. Just like how when Obsidian was gone, folks, look, shout out to Kendra. But like whoever, I don't know who that nigga is. I don't know that nigga that she was dealing with. I know her, I don't know that nigga. And when that nigga coming in here talking about some black manosphere, and he go do this and do that, and then not really understand, why we would have concerns in the way he went about, whatever. The point is, people were there to check that. That's when people, when some people saw that as trying to pull a move, while folks were like MIA or out of commission, right? So y'all gonna have to start trusting certain things. This stuff has been around for a minute, and everybody is always on this. The manosphere is about to die. People are always on this like razor thin edge of like fear that they're gonna lose some shit. That's that Anakin Skywalker syndrome, yo. And it's like it manifests in like anger and all this other bull going away, because what drives it is not YouTube. What drives it is the shit that happens on the ground. That's what drives it. And now that you're in like even though there's some money involved, at the end of the day, man, even before certain shows, there was always shows that were out there. It's stuff we don't even talk about, like the Grapevine and horrible shows out there. There's always been about pushing the bullshit. But at the end of the day, it's at a point now where folks listening to the bullshit is detrimental to their fucking health. Is detrimental to their quality of life. They can't afford listening to bullshit, coping mechanisms, and sweet lies. Shout out to El Guapo, beautiful lies. That shit is a luxury, and that's a luxury people cannot afford anymore, because that cost is going to start to come into other people's shit. So even though I'm not going, my brand is to tell the truth and shame the devil. I'm not going to be, ain't nobody going to be in my direct proximity talking that shit, and then I'm just going to sit there and listen to it. I have a certain tolerance for that. And then once people start going completely off the rails, I'm going to have to say something and not be in the conversation. Because that's me. It ain't even about my brand. That's me. So there's a difference between people doing that on their shit and doing that on my shit. So there's one dude in Obsidian emails me videos from time to time to get my commentary. And a lot of my commentary I do like off the cuff. I'm not necessarily, I may get inspired by what somebody said. Shout out to Grinch doing the breakdown of the Fizz situation with Morion. And by the way, I'm sorry, Morion, don't do no dance versus with Chris Brown. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't do that. Because that's what's gonna happen. And that's what's gonna happen. It's just a friendly, warning. Please don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Because folks are, because don't do that to yourself. But anyway, and I inspire on BJ, like that's what it is. But he emailed me, and I put a comment in the comment section because one dude was like, "Yeah, man, I want to know what I'm curious as to what Edward thinks about this," and I appreciate that. I really am humbled by that, for real. And I put it, and one person said, "Oh, he probably agree with it," and I did, because the comment was about women having standards and wanting what they want. And I said, I agree. Women have every right to want what they want. It doesn't matter what they want. The only thing that matters is what they can get. That's actually not the topic of this video. I just want to clarify that stuff. And I put it only matters what they can get. So these bitches can try to sell snake oil all day, every day. And yeah, you niggas love buying snake oil. You all love buying snake oil and saying it's magical. Y'all the way black men are, is black men will buy water for fucking $30 because somebody put smart water on it. What do I mean when I say that? That's how you all were pussy. You all create this magical thing with vagina. Like, I gotta say this. It is unnatural for men to be attracted to overweight, obese women to the extent that black men are. To me, that is a form of self-hatred. It is a form of self-loathing. It's a manifestation of self-hatred, manifestation of self-loathing. And a lot of y'all need therapy. Y'all, that shit should be diagnosed as a mental illness. Because you all take it to a place. We're not talking about every nigga done fucked a fat bitch once in a while because they wanted to, because they just needed to get off. I get that. But when niggas out here arguing, dealing with women that other men would throw the fuck up having to deal with, or the only reason why they accept that is because of poverty. I mean, shit, you got to remember, in most of the world, because motherfuckers can't get access to food like that, they're not built that way. They're not fat like that. Even dudes in extreme poverty. Well, obviously, if they're in poverty like that, that is unnatural. That is a mental illness. I don't give a fuck what you all try to say. You all can kiss my ass. You can kiss my ass and go to hell with whatever bullshit narrative story you tell yourself as far as a nigga gotta have a big dick to deal with a big bitch. The pussy is better. It's almost like, this is gonna sound very extreme, but this is gonna drive the point home. It's almost like a bitch having herpes and you all, and cause trust me, being fat like that is a health problem. It's almost like a bitch having, I don't give a fuck who hears this and how you take it. I don't give a fuck. It's almost like a bitch having herpes and niggas justifying why herpes pussy is better pussy. That's how I hear you niggas when I hear you all say that shit. Some of you all are talking about bitch. Y'all talking about bitches that are north of 225 pounds at 5'3", That shit is in my opinion, that shit is mental illness. That's the only way. That's a mental illness. That's a mental illness. That's all. Like, I'm sorry. It's you're functionally mentally ill. You got black people that they'll have more to say about a bitch dating a short nigga than motherfuckers got to say about a skinny nigga dating a fat bitch. Now, granted, if you broke, fine, you got to do what you got to do to survive. But dudes will take that out of survival mode and try to actually tell you or sell to you the idea that that's what you're supposed to do to come up. And this is why when people try to talk about what's wrong with the black community, it's like you can look at what's wrong, but it's like people don't want to act on it. And I'm sorry what y'all niggas gonna say. That shit is, in my opinion, that is a mental illness. I start to question some of you niggas IQ on that. I really do. I just can't. I just can't. And it's not about me not liking fat people, but dudes are not supposed to promote that shit like that's the thing to do. They're not. I don't give a fuck whatever story you want to tell yourself. It's all bullshit. And I know it's bullshit. I'll prove to you it's bullshit. Because if I put you in an environment where you can see that, but you have sexual access to women that have ass, have titties, but don't have the stomach, you're not gonna pick the bitches that look like that. You're just not. If you naturally come out that environment. Now, if you're a nigga that you're mentally ill, and this is what a lot of passport niggas, some of these dusty passport, the niggas that are dusty in the passport community, not all, obviously all passport, but the dudes that are more on the dusty angle, that if it wasn't for like COVID prices with the planes, they really wouldn't be traveling. These niggas are the first thing they go look for is single mothers and bitches that are not built right. They're mentally ill. That's not a commentary on the passport brothers as a whole, because I consider myself one. Those guys are mentally ill. That's why they do shit like throw their money around and shit, because they need that validation, because they're starved from it in America. They need therapy. They just don't understand it. So it manifests in crazy shit. So they start putting themselves in ready danger. I just wanted to drive that home, because I'm serious. I've lived in different places in this country. Cleveland, Chicago, or we'll say 30, 40 miles outside of Cleveland. Chicago, born in Los Angeles, although I don't count that because I left when I was 4. North Carolina. And yes, I know what big bitches look like. But I'm going to tell you something, man. There's only in the black community do you see in shape, because you can say, because people love to say, well, poor white dudes deal with fat white women. Well, they not, like, maybe, but they be fat themselves. These dudes ain't, like, physically in shape and physically on point, and then they getting with bitches that are just overweight. No, that shit is unique to the black community. That is unique to us. And that's why white women really be out here mad when they fat as fuck, like looking like how Adele used to look. And then look, even Glennie used to talk about that, looking at you like you stupid. Like, why the fuck you ain't fucking with me? Will you fuck with that big bitch? And the fact that you all like can't like really see that, I don't care if some of you all do like it, but the fact that you all can't even see that that's an issue, the fact that you all don't care and you all actually think everybody should be on that, that's where the mental illness part comes in. Y'all actually feel like that's normal. Y'all really believe, and the women ain't gonna tell you no different, because them bitches don't want to compete. And the fact that you all don't see that is like a really manifestation of the gynocracy, to the point where JB, and he was right, big females, they talk like they apes and shit. They out here twerking, doing the most bullshit. That attention whore shit, those are social mental illnesses. And I say it that way because it is that. I ain't no psychiatrist or whatever disclaimer you all need to try to dismiss what the fuck I'm saying. And now I'm about to lead it into the main topic, which is the title: the insidiousness of miseducation. BGS did a video yesterday and talking about the winners, the haves and the have-nots, and the winners and losers. Now, most people will hear this, and their first thought is going to be, "Oh, this is that socialism talk. This is that communism talk." Personally, I can't stand when black men do that shit because black people don't really think deep enough to really be thinking on political systems like as a group. They really don't. Not the dudes that bring it up, but I mean, they kind of give us a lot of credit. I want to implement communism. I want to implement market. They're not thinking that. They're just moving at the speed of their instinct, right? So personally, that annoys me. I'm not even gonna lie. And I'll tolerate the conversation, but for the most part, but anyway, he was talking about this, and I know that's always what motherfuckers hear because that's what they've said. It's consistent, whether it's people that listen to him for a minute or people that are relatively new listening to him. They always come back to that. And you completely miss what he's trying to say. He's not saying capitalism is bad. He's telling you what's necessary for capitalism to work. And because you all want to believe capitalism is a holy system, that BGS will admit capitalism is the best system we've come up with so far. He has said that. That is the best system we have come up with so far. The problem with capitalism is, the main problem is people keep cheating. That's the main thing. And they have not really properly punished people to disincentivize that. The bankers from doing that. And that's accelerated the issues with the capitalism. And because people are not honest about that, because, you got white people and white supremacy. So, they allow the cheating because that's really who's doing it. You have what you have, which is where we are now. But what he's also talking about is winners and losers. Saying that there has to be winners and losers. We all understand that everybody, and this is why when you hear people, he was saying it in the context of people wanting to talk about prosperity. And that manifests in different ways in these conversations. But what it was really, everybody can't make 100. He brought up Anton, and the way motherfuckers talk is they talk like it's a group solution for everybody can't make $100,000. Like anybody, like it can't. Like if you say, look, even within the context, I'm talking about in the context of America. And trust me, they're not going to allow, I don't give a fuck y'all believe in white supremacy or not. They're not going to allow, not in America's economy, for the majority of black men to be making $100,000 a year. If that was going to be an endeavor that would be pursued, that would have to be pursued, like, you would have to deal with global economics. And that's like a whole different conversation at that point. That's a whole different conversation at that point. But this idea that everybody's just going to make $100,000, every black man, adult black man, 6% of the population is going to be making $100,000. And if you make over $100,000, that bitch is going, first of all, anybody that's going to tell you that black women are going to act right if you making $100,000 a year or more, and that's just going to automatically make her heal or rest in her femininity, you're fucking stupid. And you don't know what the fuck you're talking. You don't know what the fuck you're dealing with. And this is where dudes need to start recognizing, nigga, you got lucky, as a part of it is you were smart, and part you knew when to cash out, and part of it is you picked right, which I give people credit for that, but part of it is luck. Because remember, even if a chick is acting right the first 5 years, they could just for whatever reason say fuck you and I want to do some shit. A thought can get in their head that makes them want to do X, Y, and Z. And if they turn on your ass, nothing you did matters. What matters is, what have you done for me lately? That is never not on the table. Just because she chooses not to execute that doesn't mean it's not on the table. That doesn't mean the option is not there. And a lot of y'all get it in your mind that just because somebody ain't done something, you start feeling yourself. Just like if a woman gives you sexual access, you start thinking you got control. And Grinch talked about this good. Humans are still animals at the end of the day, and they're going to do what's in their own best interest. The best you can do is be in their short term, medium term, long term best interest and pick somebody smart enough that can recognize the value in that. And that's where I'll give Anton a lot of credit and his wife. I will give him credit on that. But the reality of the situation is it ain't a whole bunch of women like his wife. And I'm talking from a software standpoint. It ain't. So that's an individual solution. That's not a group solution. And it ain't that, well, because when you look at, because Anton even said this. Anton even said that his wife didn't come from the shit that he talk about black men need to provide. His wife didn't come from. His wife didn't come from that. So what that tells you is that ain't the ex machina of what you need in order to guarantee a chick is gonna act right. Angela Simmons is a perfect example for that. She come from everything. She picked the niggas she picked. Because the also thing is true is if you put a woman in too much security, then what they're gonna do is start thinking that shit is magic. And then what they're gonna start doing is they're gonna start satisfying their sexual imperatives, which means they're gonna start picking niggas they ain't got no business picking. And if you don't have the ability to properly punish a female, which this society removes from you, unless you making so much money that you're paying more than what the society can, and even if you are, she ain't gonna play the fuck you bluff and dare you to do something to her. Understand that? So they'll play that card, you know. So he was talking about the prosperity. And if you make so much money, I mean, remember, Kevin was in corporate America and shit like that, and went through 2 marriages. So the point is, that bullshit about money, that's a lie, because a lot of times these black women, that ain't no factor with how they deal with white men or non-black men. That's a lie. That's some shit they tell you, but that's a lie. And dudes got to stop falling for that shit. They really do. Because if money was as big of an issue as they say it is, then they would pick more based on it. They would not be having kids. Money wouldn't be the thing you fall back on. Money wouldn't be the thing you fall back on after you fucking ran up your body count. Black women culture, and most black women will readily admit this, that money is really not a big deal. Money is not what moves them. Money, they're not, if you give them a choice between good dick and money and security, they will all, like 9 times out of 10, they're going to choose the dick. If you put them the looks and money, 9 times out of 10, they're going to choose the looks. What non-black women will do is they will get the money first and then start bullshitting. But black women they will not risk not getting good dick for money because they have been taught that they don't need nobody else for it. Fucked up as that is, because most black women are fucking poor and broke. They don't black women have this narrative image that they're all making fucking 6 figures and they live in the independent woman life. It is bullshit. Jason Black did an excellent video talking about your job is your man and broke that shit down. Broke it down and did a whole PowerPoint talking about various go look at the video for the talking points, but he did it in PowerPoint format. Various things that a couple of things women are gonna be more sexually adventurous because they believe even if they're not making a lot of money on their job, the psychological security that comes with a job has them thinking they could get away with a lot of bullshit. Yeah. So he broke that down. He broke it down like as far as how, and this is not the first time he's done that. Because another element that I didn't listen to the whole thing because I don't listen to Jason Black like I used to. Because the white supremacy talk, once you've heard it, I've listened to more than I need than I need to listen to Professor Black Truth in a minute. Minute. But I don't need to hear all that because I already know. Ain't nothing new under the sun. So I listen to the gang shit. Well, and yeah. Because another element that is not talked about is the element of black women not having nothing to lose. Black women being willing to cut their face to spike the mirror to be right. That kamikaze shit that I'm going to show you and I'm going to harm myself to show you. So I'm going to nuke my, it's like the Tomorrow War where you nuke your future in order to look good during the present. Black women are big on that. And that's also another thing that kind of keeps some of these other women from spinning completely fucking off the rails. That they understand in the end, the long game, they know men can flip, they can switch back. And in the long term, they know the pendulum can swing. And if the pendulum swings, shit is going to balance out because that's the natural order of things. And when that happens, because they never really know when that happens, because they never really know when the environment can just change like that. And that fear generally keeps women under control. But with our women, because they've been allowed to be just so to spin out so much, they're like, you just gotta erase the whole computer and restart. That's basically what you gotta do. There is no troubleshooting. And too many niggas want to troubleshoot shit that you shouldn't be troubleshooting. Like when I get people to escalate shit to me because these motherfuckers are mad, and then I tell them, no, this is what the fuck you gonna have to do. Oh, well, I don't want to lose this. Or I don't want to. We're past that. You should have backed it up. We're past that. We're past it. And nobody want to tell them that shit because they afraid. I'm like, nah, that's why you keep on having to deal with what you're dealing with. And then they get mad and they go through their little 5 stages of grief with their data and bullshit. And I'll be like, well, yeah, you do whatever you need to do, but we're coming back to the same conclusion regardless. So, basically I'm kind of walking to it. So when people talk about the prosperity shit, individually that could work, but that's not a group solution. That's not a mass solution. It's not. It's not designed to solve a mass problem. It's not. And when people try to talk about marriage rates in the upper class, well, you don't even look at that from the black community. You're looking at that from other groups. The black community, we have unique dynamics even in the upper classes. And people try to use their interpretation. See, that's what I don't like about Tone. Tone manipulates stats so he could try to seem like more of an authority than what he is. And he bends those stats to match the shit he wants it to match. So, and a lot of people do that. There's variability to how much people do it, because some people don't do it too much, but the reality is they try to make it like what they say is fucking law, and they want to. And the thing is, when you're being disingenuous about that, that's dangerous. And again, I don't give a fuck how women feel about what I'm saying. I'm telling the truth as I see it. And the reality, it ain't my truth. If you can beat it, then beat it. But if you can't, then shut the fuck up. And a lot of folks, they get emotionally overwhelmed because they can't handle it. But going back to the video, so BGS was really countering that narrative of group prosperity in capitalism. And see, this is where I want to add into that particular point. 30 minutes in, we're going to get to the point. One of the main ways that they fuck you up without you knowing it is miseducating you. They purposely keep you from knowing how to balance it. But when I say keep you, there's certain things that you should know how to do. That your tax dollars paying for public education, you should know how to do. Not only for yourself, but there's certain things that other people should know how to do in order to create an environment. A proper environment is conducive to not having people do stupid shit. That's going to put them in survival mode. That's going to make them start doing stealing and all that bullshit. When you don't know how, when you don't learn about credit in school, when you don't know how to balance a budget in school, when they took out trades in the school, understand something. And when I went to high school, they had this thing, it's like ATP something. It was an Information Technology Institute within our high school. Now, this was a public school. And this was a public school, not a magnet school, a public school. But it was a good public school. And this is the school I went to. I'm not going to say the names, but this is the school I went to before I went to the school I ended up graduating from. Because that was a new school, because at the time, a lot of new schools were being built. Like literally every 2 years, like a high school was being built. It was like 4 or 5 high schools that were being, like, it was a lot. And they were all in a very close, like, a proximity. Because the growth is still strong, but the growth was just that strong back then, right? And we got, like, they were really, and I could have stayed, I had an exception where I could have stayed there if I wanted, because I was in that institute. I still go back and forth whether I should have stayed or not. But long story short, that's what education's supposed to be doing. But see, you got to understand, that shit is state by state. That shit is state by state. That shit is county by county, because it obviously depends on how much money your county has, how much money your state, what's the priority of education in your particular state. And North Carolina had a thing where North Carolina was trying, this was when North Carolina was really trying to solidify the research triangle situation. And they were trying to get the populace to attract business, because that would attract money. And this was like very pro-business, conservatives, all that. And so, and the Democrats, to them, it was progressive. This is when, like, pro-business and pro-progressivism kind of met, because, technology is going to lean more progressive. But at the same time, it was very pro-business and brought a lot of money in, and they wanted some of that Silicon money in North Carolina. So because you had the bank and the financial shit in Charlotte, Raleigh would be the technology and medical shit, and then the East would be farm. So it really worked out. It would really balance everybody out in the state, and like the rural folks, but a lot of these conservatives got votes. They would have the money, but still balance the budget to like do the rule, putting like in good internet and shit like that, but at the same time getting the shit paid for. So it worked. So it was a lot of stuff that a lot of Dems, and because a lot of the Dems down here are, even if they're less progressive, they're more conservative Democrats. So socially, Democrats are more on the same, like they're more on the same page down here. The divide is not that big. So as a result, they can work a little bit better together than you typically see. Right. So anyway, that's what it was back then. Right. So my point is that that's what school is supposed to teach. But you're miseducated. And there's a lot of people, and people purposely miseducate you so they can win. Your women purposely miseducate you. They try to miseducate us all the time when we're having these conversations. They try to redirect shit. This main shit I complain about. Y'all hear it. When they trying to redirect shit, they trying to pretend they don't know shit when you know they know. They trying to, they know, but they try to act like they don't know. They try to ask questions to redirect shit and manipulate shit. They try to act like, they're in your best, say shit that's in your best interest when it's always in mind what their best interest is. Well, don't black men do that? No, black men don't. Black men will throw other black men under the bus for the betterment of black women, which is one of the problems we have, because we're more logical about it. We're more about, okay, how can we both win? Women don't believe that, because they're in that survival mode. And they don't see most black men do not see black men in the recipe of them winning. They don't. They may not be as crazy as the women that saying abort black male babies and shit, but they don't see you as a necessary ingredient for them to succeed. They just don't. They've been too programmed with it. And it doesn't matter that they were miseducated at the problem. The issue is you have to say, is this a threat or not a threat? The reason they're a threat is irrelevant. And I'm not saying all black women are a threat, but what I'm saying is the bullshit that they weren't taught, so you should have patience. No, I have zero tolerance for that. Just like a woman getting her ass whooped by a dude is not going to say be patient with the dude. That's not how that works. So, miseducation now, BGS wasn't talking about that in particular with the women. He was talking about in general with capitalism. In general. But yeah, miseducation is a tool. Like even and this is not a racial tool, although race is a part of it, but this is a class tool too. There's a reason why certain things are not taught to you. There's a reason why certain mindsets and ideologies are taught to you. There's a reason why you're taught to value a job above anything else. Not even a career, but a job. There's a reason why you're told to go to school and to go into school to get a good job. Even today, you're told that. There's a reason why you're put on certain paths. And generally, and this is why certain groups that tend to be more family oriented tend to do better because they have the better habits, but also they actually have more of the proprietary knowledge. They know not just what to do, but how to go about doing it. How to go to school without getting in your eyeballs in debt. What college is for. How to say, okay, we can't go to private school. Asians are big on this. We can't go to private school because we ain't got the money, because they may be wherever they are in their like economic development in America, like any individual group. But they'll say, okay, let's go to the best house and over invest in and being able to get into the best house we absolutely can. So by definition, we get into the best school that we can, because every a good school that's different than getting straight A's in a bad school. Or this is why you'll see certain Asians in magnet schools, certain white people in magnet schools, they look out of place when the magnet school has got nothing but black people in it. That's because they're in that school for the purposes of how that's going to look when they apply for college. And see, when you think about going into a good public school, going into a public school that's looked at on par as on par with a magnet school or a private school, if you can get into one of those, move into that zone, that's actually a lot less expensive than actually paying for private school. Especially if you can bet on the fact that your kid is gonna be in the top like percentile in that school. Now, obviously, if you come out of a private school, you don't have to hit that high of a bar, because the private school's reputation is what that is, and that helps you. But not only are you saving money by not paying X amount of dollars for private schools, what you're also doing is that money's being re-put back into the value of the house as the value goes in. But see, this is culture shit. Economic culture shit that, unfortunately, black people don't think about, because black people pass down survivalism. Because nobody really wants to take accountability for the shit they did. So they kick the can, just like how we kick the debt, got the debt ceiling conversation. Just like how you kick the debt ceiling can every 2 years. They kick or every 4 years. They're kicking the can. That's how they do it generationally. And then because nobody can call like the black bitch out, we dump all on it's the black man's fault. So black men can pay the tax, the fucking accountability tax. So people just keep on doing what the fuck they doing and pretend like they don't know why they're getting the results that they're getting. Or they can keep the information away from the next generation, and then motherfuckers just don't know what they don't know. So the miseducation literally becomes basically self-induced, self-imposed. It becomes on autopilot. It becomes on cruise control. Fuck kids' credit. All that shit. That becomes economic curses. And this is why I always say that white supremacy exists, but it runs like a well-oiled machine because of the unforced errors that black people continue to do. Not doing life insurance, all that stuff. BGS talked about it in that video. He said, my parents were sharecroppers, so going to college wasn't in the cards. It was really going to high school, because nobody got all their kids past high school. And some of y'all haven't got all y'all siblings past high school, real talk, because they want to drop out because they want to be goofy. Then he said he got all his kids in at least into college. 2 of them graduated. And the one that didn't, you can agree or disagree on the reasons, but it wasn't like they had actually a career path as to why they came to the conclusion they came to. Right? An economic conclusion. You know, that you could, whether people agree with it or not, you can at least see, okay, it ain't like completely out there, right? And that's that progression. But that's that progression now. This is why I would assume one of the reasons why it's important for him to be in his grandkids' life. So, you know, as far as in the educational front, be very involved in that. Because shit, what else are you going to do? You know, you talking this shit to us, you might as well, you know what I'm saying? So, it's that collective progression. So, miseducation is a very, very big tool, and probably one of the main ones executed, because you can't really blame nobody. It's very hard to blame people. You see black women miseducate their daughters all the time. You don't see black women blame their mothers for that. You see them blame what they see in front of them. You don't see them really look back and say, my mother really fucked my ass up. My mother really fucked me up. They really did. You don't see that conversation. Yvonne Van Zandt was the closest one to try to have it. They ran her off of TV. Because that's a code that all these women buy into, because they want to reserve the right to do that shit to their daughters. Not to mention black women miseducating their sons. David Carroll talks about this. He talks about this all the time. The day black women said, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, is the day they destroyed their community. And the community we have today is a manifestation of that mantra. And black women want to pretend like they brand new. Black women really want to divest from very shit they created. And then they got the nerve to call women mammies. That, the biggest definition of a mammy is a black woman that loves white children more than they love their children. And a lot of black women fit that bill. That's like the biggest defining point of a mammy, is if you were in a white household. This is before white people were getting Hispanics to do it. Would you love those white children more than you would love those black children? That's a defining thing, and that's some unique shit too. I wanted to really highlight that point, because a lot of folks don't even understand how they've been miseducated. This is what a lot of the black conservatives are trying to communicate, but they don't do a particularly good job at doing it. They try to say racism is what they tell you to lean on, so you don't actually go in here and really compete. But the reality of it is, they want to tell you by telling you it doesn't exist. And that's actually a lie too. That's a form. They want to educate you they want to solve the miseducation by miseducating you. That's what they want to do. Just like how they don't really teach you about like Black Wall Street and shit, unless it's politically convenient. They talk about Black Wall Street now because the Democrats realize they need to give you another deflection, or another thing to kind of take your mind off of what they're not doing to keep you voting for them. That's just another form of fake ass non-tangibles. They're acknowledging you. Shout out to Justin March for the $5 super sticker. They're acknowledging you. That's why they don't say everything up front, because they always hold that whole shit close to the vest so they can pull that shit out. Yeah, that's a great book, The Miseducation of the Negro. I've mentioned it before. And when you look at every area of activity, economic, legal, media, education, sex, war, black people are miseducated in every fucking thing. You're completely miseducated. And the sad thing is, most black people don't even realize they are emotionally bonded to the miseducation. And that's one of the things BGS was doing too, which is why he was going so hard. Because he was going so hard because he sees folks that he knows better, but are purposely miseducating people. And it's not about I'm always right. But yeah, it's about, folks want to miseducate people, and they think because they're putting a couple of drops of gasoline in the water that it's still clean water. And that's why he was getting mad. He was really getting mad. Shout out to Marcus A. Brown. What's up, man? I said the same thing about Juneteenth. Politicians used it at their convenience. They don't care. No, they don't care. Absolutely, they don't care. And a lot of people would say, well, why are you throwing a wet blanket on not black men? A lot of black women are hypocrites to R. Kelly. They are. And the point is, R. Kelly should have been done, but black women was protecting him. And nobody wants to have that conversation. It's the same thing what you're saying with Juneteenth. People are so overwhelmed by this need to be validated. And black men from it with black women. That's why black men always are explaining shit to black women. Because you want them to buy into what you're saying. I'm like, no, go date a white man and go be happy. Go pursue what you want. Because I'm not here to convince you of what you need to know. I'm not. I'm really here to look for who's down and who's not. And if you're not down, you can take your ass on. If you are down, then, holla at me. End up. I'm not here to sell you shit. I'm sifting and I'm sorting. But when they talk, you heard them talk about white supremacy and all that. That's not out of the blue. That's not because people just pushed that out there. It's because they saw that's where the wind was blowing and they needed to get votes. That's what that is. That's why Biden and them don't do shit for black people like that. Now, granted, BGS is correct by saying you got to look at the policy. And our people do a horrible job at really breaking down where we could do shit in the policies. But that's because we're always trying to take care of the people that are the dumbest and the dumbest among us. We're here trying to educate and get right the people that have absolutely refused to act like they got some fucking sense, rather than leaving their ass behind where they fucking belong. Because a lot of y'all mamas would be left fucking behind. So we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't leave mama behind. So we got to put up with it or do this bullshit where we're trying to fix some shit that can't be fixed. Get the likes up, y'all. And this is why, well, yeah. So that's what it is. And you see the miseducation in a lot of these guys when they talk. Like, it's like they know what logic is, but they got emotional. They're emotionally bonded to the information, to what they know and they've always known. They're emotionally bonded to it. So because they're emotionally bonded to it, the logic doesn't matter. That's really essentially what that is. When you hear a dude says, yeah, I understand, but I hear what you're saying, but that but is my usually that's that my emotions can't accept what you're saying. This is why I always say, okay, so you logically understand the logic, but you just can't mentally accept what I'm talking about. Is that the problem? Because if that's the problem, I'm not about to go and explain it a different way. I understand that you mostly just can't deal with it, and that's not my problem. Yeah, girl dads can be a problem. Girl dads can be a problem because the girl dad shit allows dudes to basically soak in the ooze of the gynocracy, because they're gonna do it under the bullshit notion of protection. This is why I say with these girl dads, you niggas are not protecting your daughters, because if these other females want to turn your daughters out, you're not gonna do shit. You're not gonna do jack shit. So it allows them actually to perpetuate hatred upon other men. That's really what a lot of times what that shit is. And and Black Huru, and look, you got dudes like Black Huru, but remember Black Huru's age. Black Huru comes from a different age, and remember that most of the time they not like Black Huru. Most of the time, if they got nothing but daughters, or if they ain't got no sons, you gotta watch them. You gotta watch them, because them niggas they will think anything is justified for their supposed protection of their daughter. And they will bind things to the protection of their daughter that ain't got nothing to do with the protection of their daughter. Nigga, I got daughters. So all of a sudden, I'm supposed, nigga, and let me tell you how fucked up that is. When I go to the grocery store, there's a dude that walks around and he'll literally panhandle for money. It's a black dude. And he'll panhandle for money. And what he'll do is he'll say, man, me and my daughter is, I'm out of gas and I'm trying to get me and my daughter home. And I gave this dude $5 one time just off some he black. And then maybe 3 weeks later, he said the same thing to me. I said, nigga. He said, nigga, I've heard you said that before to me. And he's like, no, I haven't. And I said, yeah, you have. He said, from me? And then he walked away because he was lying. And I remember when I gave him the $5. I said, man, I hope God have mercy if you lying. And because he know, because these motherfuckers know how motherfuckers think. And I gave him the money anyway. But the thing about it is, no, I didn't give him the money the second time. Second time, I told him, get the fuck out of my face because you lying. Because you know, he knows ain't nobody gonna give him no money. So he tried to give me, me and my daughter. And I'm like, nigga, the fuck you doing going to the grocery store without no gas and then you bringing somebody with you? So I knew he was lying the first time. Because I'm like, that don't make no sense. And I know niggas ain't got access to their kids like that. Not like that. Being dusty like that. Well, the sad part about it is black women believe that in order to divest, you got to destroy the black man. That allows them to perpetuate their own hatred towards black men because they actually believe that black men existing. This is the truth. The truth is most of the divestors, like the hardcore ones, they believe that the reason why they can't get the options they want is because black men are still alive. They believe that black men have to die in order to have their options. That's why they're mentally ill. Even the ones that try to be nicer about it, it's like you're like, if you actually walk this shit to its conclusion, if you were really divesting, then you would just talk about how to get non-black men and just be done with it. Because black men have no, it's not black men. First of all, you don't need a reason to not want to deal with black men. This is why I always say that black women have every right to want what they want, why they want it. The question is if they can get it. So when dudes sit here and they try to talk, when women try to talk about like, well, I do this because you don't do this. The reality is, why do you why do you even engage with black men at all? If you really got this shit on you, why do you engage with black men at all? Why? Why? Why don't you just divest and then you say, okay, if I can't have a non-black man, I'm just gonna be alone. I'm gonna die alone. That's how much I don't want to be with a black man. Because they understand what they're giving up they're giving up a lot of intangible things. They're giving up emotional resources, a lot of regardless of what they like to say, economic resources. They can bullshit about they don't get nothing from black men. They can say that all day, every day. But if black men start redirecting their money, they get real sensitive about that. So that's cap. But yeah. They spend like literally 90%. If you listen to divestors, 80% of their content is about what black men are doing. So 80 to 90% of their content is justifying why they need to divest. And they'll say, well, we're trying to convince other women to not be left behind. And I'm like, okay, well, you say that as if there's a gap or there's a gap in that information. Black women are taught from birth not to trust black men. So unless you all's IQs are not there, black women are taught from birth. It's reinforced in the education system and reinforced in the media. There is not a single entity that's telling you to be with the black man. There's not a single entity, really, including pastors, out here telling you should be with black men. Not at all. You're right. That mistrust is reinforced by your dads and uncles. That's an element. That's one of the reasons why I say you can't trust niggas with daughters. It is. It absolutely is. And Jason Black actually touched on that too. As to like some of the legitimate reasons that is. But as usual, legitimate stuff is often perverted because you're dealing with this gynocracy. And if you don't take that into account, usually it ain't gonna go where it should. So nobody's out here telling these men this, and women this. So I don't know why. So my question that I ask is, why is it, assuming that our issue is that you can't date out, why is it that you're dating black men in the first place? Well, because we're loyal. No, because you're stupid. You're dumb. You're dumb. You're stupid. You're stupid. That's why. And I'd rather them just say that. I'm stupid. I'm stupid. Just say that. Because you're complaining about shit, you ain't going nowhere. See, there's a credible threat for black men to leave. Which is why everybody creates miscegenation. They used to create miscegenation laws and all this other bullshit. There's a reason why that is. Because we're loyal. Because black men are beautiful. Because like who the fuck says black men are beautiful? Are you serious? Because that's your reflection. That's what's in your mind. Straight up. And so I'm like, yeah. And that's really because there's nothing else that really needs to be said. Most of the people that are having these conversations still, they're having these conversations because they haven't come to conclusions that we came to 4, 5, 6 years ago. They haven't. So they got to go through the process. That's why when Kevin goes in there, everything gets shut the fuck down. It ain't nothing they can say. Because you got to remember, a lot of these females, they're not used to talking to dudes that have as much insight as somebody like Kevin does. They're not used to talking to anybody like us. They're not. They're used to being able to show a little leg, and then because the dude think he might fuck, what the dude's going to do is he's going to basically go along whatever the bitch wants, because in his mind, he doesn't want to fuck up the potential of pussy. So he's going to be very agreeable and agree with that shit. So this creates a world in which women actually believe the shit they say is correct. When in actuality, men are just really going along with what they need to just to get pussy from you. Whether pussy's on the table or not on the table. And I keep telling you niggas to stop doing that. Because that's the possibility of sex straight up. And dudes literally move on an algorithm on the possibility of sex. Do not say nothing. Because the truth is, dudes don't want to give a fuck what's coming out your mouth. No, they don't care. What's the point in having an art? What's the point in being around you if you ain't trying to fuck? And if you're trying to fuck, then why would you do anything or say anything that can potentially interfere with your potential to fuck? There's no point even being around most of y'all at that point. There's no point. It's no point. Y'all actually think somebody want to spend time with y'all because y'all a great person. No. If you told a dude that we're not having sex and sex is not on the table, y'all already understand that most of the dudes, even a lot of the simps, they're not going to be around you. So because a lot of you all want emotional and emotional attention, because women need that, women don't do that. They lie. They have a whole bunch of dudes around them, or dudes around them. This is why women have friends with benefits in the first, or friend zone people in the first place. Women friend zone because they get free attention. You don't need the friend zone now. Now the friend zone costs money because they can get free attention on Instagram. They can get free attention on YouTube. You know, a female like somebody like Courtney that she ain't an ugly chick. She can pull up Instagram and go on Instagram Live and I'll have a whole bunch of niggas telling her what the fuck she want to hear. Even she say 1 + 1 is 8. A woman should make that. A woman should experiment with that too one day. Say 1 + 1 is 4 and see how many niggas agree with it. I bet you'd be surprised. Say some shit. Say I believe the world is flat. And see how many niggas just agree with that. Yeah, I can, because you don't really see the curve, right? You don't really see the curve. I mean, how many people have really been outside of the Earth's orbit? I mean, is the moon? I mean, is the moon landing? Is that really real? I mean, you know, it was politics. They want the social Soviet Union to beat them. I mean, you understand? Like niggas are gonna say that because they want to get pussy. That's what it is. And women are really out here thinking they saying some shit that's significant. Every once in a while, you got a female like Kendra, but outside that, most of these women. That's why when they talk about a mind of your own, I need a mind of your own. Yeah, because that's worked out for you. A mind of your own. I have a right to have a mind of my own. Yeah, but I have a right to determine you ain't saying shit too. Don't get mad at me if you ain't really saying shit. I still can't believe she sent me that stat, and that stat was fucking backwards. And I ran with that shit. Because I assumed that somebody could read a bar chart. Oh my God, yo. I wish, man, if Pablo would have put, boy, she is so lucky that shit didn't get put on, anyway. But miseducation is a tool of deception. And it's one of the most basic tools in the toolkit. And the most devastatingly effective. How are you? I'm doing all right. Appreciate it. It's one of the most devastatingly effective tools. Because the return on investment of you fucking somebody up is I won't say incalculable, but it's a lot. It's a lot. Because most people, and I mean most never overcome that. Because there's a certain level of accountability and self-reflection that you have to have in order to overcome that, and most people can't. They can't. Because they don't have enough self-reflection and insight in order to do it. And then you got to ask, what happens if you are surrounded by people that are all miseducated? And this is not to say that only black people are miseducated. People are miseducated in a lot of different ways. White people are miseducated in believing that the 1% or 10% gives a fuck about the rest of them. Miseducation goes in many different directions. It is not something that is one way. Hell, game is a big form of miseducation. Game, that's one reason you have these game arguments all the time. Because people will say shit under the banner of game that will be complete bullshit. But because if you put game in front of it, niggas have been trained to believe that shit is to be real. Because it's game. It's kind of like when motherfuckers, marketing use certain words to make food sound better. Now, I wouldn't say that, Will I R. I wouldn't say I would faint. It's not that abnormal to me. It's not that abnormal to me. Because I gravitate towards women that actually have a mind of their own and aren't fucking and are dumb. And are not dumb. And trust me, there's a lot of bitches that got college degrees that are stupid as fuck. Make no mistake with that. I mean, y'all can see in the women that usually I share. Women, they think because they got a college degree, but they dumb. Even in the shit they got a degree in, they dumb. Oh, I got a degree in psychology. They want to associate. I'm like, you analyze me, nigga. Bitch, you need to analyze black women. Put that degree to real use. Because last time I checked, we got more money than y'all. As an individual and as a group. And we basically work with both our hands tied behind our fucking back. And y'all being put on a booster seat. But that's the miseducation, black mind. That's the miseducation. Nobody talks about game more than black men. Nobody is in a gynocracy other than black men. Make that make sense. But in the wonderful world of black people, remember that video when I did 1 + 1 is 2? Unless you're black, then it's how you feel about it. And all them niggas got mad about IQ. Now one of them niggas said that black people are miseducated. All of them wanted to get upset because our algorithm showed that to a lot of hotels because they all got upset in their feelings about IQ. And I said, nigga, I don't give a fuck about you being sensitive. That's all that is. You're fucking sensitive. So you want to come in here and kind of you know, bang the fucking what else, clap things, the brass clappers like a fucking monkey because you're mad. I give no fucks about that. Nigga, you racist talking about niggas got IQ. I'm literally proving my point by having an emotional reaction to something that had nothing to do with IQ. Yeah. Because, you know, usually with me, I don't like to make provocative titles. I got to remember that a lot of times, a lot of folks, they make titles. The titles are designed for you to click. So they'll say some intentionally fucked up shit. Like Melody did some shit about, like a lot of times Melody does. Because her shit ain't necessarily in bad faith. But she'll title it in such a way, you'd be like, man, this is some bullshit. This whole premise is bullshit. But what is a title supposed to do? Make you want to click. It's designed to make you want to click. That's what it's for. So you got to remember that. So a lot of times when people say some of this provocative shit, it's designed to trigger you into clicking. Anyway, y'all, this has been great. Make sure y'all hit up the Cash App. Exactly. Make sure y'all hit up the Cash App. Appreciate it. Appreciate the super chats. And shout out to Patricia for the $5 PayPal. I think she did a couple. So much appreciated. So with that being said, y'all, hope y'all enjoy your day. This is Edward signing off. Peace.